Jermaine, why didn't you jump in? Why didn't you help him? As I say, in the first 5 seconds when it kicked off, I was the first person that stepped in. In terms of Cozae, I actually respect him. I think he's a good kid. But the sort of narrative that nobody stepped in to help Cozae, it's bullshit. I know there's a lot of people online, thousands of people saying you should have jumped in and helped. You go to Piccadilly Gardens at 10 o'clock at night, your ass would fall out. You would not jump into a fight. So this video is to address the fight involving Cozae in Manchester on Halloween night. Now I'm going to break this video down into 3 parts. Number 1, my relationship with Cozae. Number 2, the fight itself. And number 3, did I actually step in to help Cozae? So let's get into it. Now, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of rumours and a lot of criticism towards YouTubers specifically for not stepping in to help Cozae. So this is why I'm making this video, to give my side of the story and actually tell people what happened. Because the problem is, you know, if you don't tell a story, people will tell it for you. And I'm not about to let that happen. I'd rather tell the story for myself so people understand exactly what happened. So in terms of Cozae, I actually respect him. I think he's a good kid. I think what he's achieved over the last few months is pretty remarkable. And in the space of 3 months, he's basically built his channel from 0 to 30,000 subscribers. And you know, Cozae, he's had a few issues in the past. You know, he's been on license, he's been on probation, etc. So the fact he's managed to turn his life around, you know, it's inspiring. And I just want to say that I do respect Cozae. I like his content and I think he's a good kid. Now, with that said, I don't really know Cozae very well. I've only got, before Halloween night, I only met him 3 times. The first time I met him, we didn't speak. The second time I met him, we shook hands and he was on my vlog. The third time we went out vlogging together in Manchester. And then the 4th time I met him on Halloween night in Manchester. So I've technically only met him 3 times before Halloween night. So really we're not close friends. I consider him a new friend because he is sort of a fellow YouTuber. He is a fellow Mancunian and I do respect him. So I consider him a new friend, but we're not best friends. We're not good friends and I don't know him very well. So that's the first bit in terms of how I know Cozae, etc. Now the fight itself, Friday night, me and Hugo, we actually went out vlogging in Manchester. As soon as we got to Manchester, it was pretty dark. It was about 6:30, 7 o'clock. We saw like a police car, a police van parked up. And yeah, we ran over to the police van and lo and behold, Cozzy was standing there. Cozzy was stood there like filming. It's a bit windy. Hold on a moment. I'm just walking on the reservoir. Oh shit. Just dropped my poppy as well. Put this back on. So yeah, I'm on the reservoir. But yeah, we seen Cozae at about 7 o'clock in Manchester. So we walked over, we had a little bit of a chat. Cozae was with DeMarco TV. DeMarco is like Cozzy's best friend pretty much. They go out vlogging together every single day. You know, and they're both good friends. So we saw them two. We spoke to them for about 10 minutes. And then we split up. Cozzy and DeMarco went off on their own. Me and Hugo, we continued around Manchester filming. And we probably filmed for about 2 hours. And then at about 9:30, it was about 9:30, 9 o'clock. We seen Cozae again in Piccadilly. So we was just chatting for like 5 minutes or something. And then I went into McDonald's to get a drink. And when I came back out, I seen one of my friends and I was chatting to him, Frisco. But I sensed like something was about to happen. There was about 300 people swarming outside McDonald's. It wasn't actually to do with the fight involving Cozae. It just felt like something was building. So I said to my mate, we need to move away from McDonald's. At this point, my camera was actually switched off and I was changing my SD card. So I was walking just as I am now with my camera in my hand and I was switching and putting my SD card in. Just as I was putting my SD card in the camera, that's when the fight started. And I seen Cozae get swung by the transgender bloke. He swung Cozae by his hair. So when you watch the footage, there's been a lot of criticism towards me specifically and other YouTubers for not stepping in and helping Cozae. Now, if you actually see more footage, there's a lot of footage that doesn't actually show the start of the fight. There's 3 cameras that do actually show the start of the fight. DeMarco TV, New Reality Media, I think he's called, and Hugo shows the start of the fight. At the start of the fight, when it starts, the first 5 seconds or whatever it was, 5 seconds, I'm the first person that steps in and tries to stop the fight. I tried to grab the transgender dude, the Mike Tyson looking dude, from behind. I'll put some shots on screen. You actually see me step in straight away and try to grab him. The thing is, he didn't have no clothes on. He had no top on, so there was nothing to grab. And also he was like sweaty and it was all wet. So I couldn't actually grab hold of the guy. And I only had one hand free because he had my camera in the other hand. So yeah, people are saying that I didn't step in to help him. I actually did step in to attempt to help him. I was the first person that stepped in, and I put screenshots on screen. Now at this point, I've still got my camera at my hand and I wasn't recording. So people are saying like YouTubers are only bothered about filming the fight. I did not start filming the fight until after I stepped in to try and stop the fight. If I didn't, if I was so concerned about just filming the fight, I would actually have footage of the fight. I don't have footage of the full fight because I wasn't filming the full fight. I wasn't recording. And also, for the first like 30 seconds, I stepped in to try and stop the fight. And you can see me, the shots of me stepping in. At this point then, other people started to step in and stop the fight. New Reality Media UK attempted to step in and stop the fight. There was a migrant that stepped in to try and stop the fight. So at this point, this is when I press record, bing, to record the fight, because obviously there was a lot of people involved. And also, I wanted to capture the moment. I wanted to make sure that I caught everything to see exactly if anything got serious, it's all on camera. You know, it's all recorded. It's all been seen. But the sort of narrative that nobody helped Cozae, it's bullshit. Reality UK Media stepped in. I stepped in. Another migrant stepped in to try and stop the fight as well. Now, it only looks worse because the girl tried to join in. The girl tried to sort of step in and get involved. But even when she stepped in the first time to try and stamp on Cozae, somebody stepped in and stopped her. I think that was Reality Media UK or somebody else. One of the YouTubers stepped in to stop her from stamping on him. And then the second time, she kicked Cozzy in the head. That's when the African migrant, bang, came in and whacked the blonde one from behind and then punched Mike Tyson as well. And that's then, again, different people were stepping in and trying to split it up and stop it. Now, an important thing about this as well, people saying that Cozzy was attacked and nobody was helping him. What you need to understand is the fight got split up about 4 or 5 different times. The fight was split up in the first minute, and it was split up. Cozzy could have actually walked away, but he didn't walk away. He then went back towards Mike Tyson to start fighting him again. And obviously I understand his adrenaline's going. He's a man, you're in a fight, you obviously want to keep fighting. But Cozzy wasn't being attacked, he was also fighting and attacking them back. Most of the time it was a one-on-one fight. Cozzy threw a few punches, it's on camera. You see Cozzy, the fight split up. Cozzy's just standing there, bang, Cozzy would crack the guy and then the fight would start again. So it wasn't just a case of Cozzy being attacked, it was both people fighting back and forth. And for this reason, the narrative that nobody was helping Cozzy is not true, because Cozzy was initiating the fight himself at several points. It only looked worse because, you know, the transgender guy, he was a bit stronger than Cozzy, and also he kept grabbing Cozzy's hair. He wasn't really fighting, he was just like swinging him around by his hair. It was pretty much a girl, he fights like a girl. He was grabbing his hair and swinging him. So that's pretty much like, he had a bit of an advantage over Cozzy because he was grabbing Cozzy's head and fighting like a girl basically. But the sort of narrative that nobody stepped in to help Cozzy, it's bullshit. So yeah, in terms of that, yeah, that's what happened. Now the final bit of this video really is, you know, Jermaine, why didn't you jump in? Why didn't you help him? As I say, in the first 5 seconds when it kicked off, I was the first person that stepped in. If you see more footage, you will actually see that. You actually see me grab the Mike Tyson looking fella. Yeah, grabbed him the first few seconds of the fight. But something else that people need to consider is, you know, I'm a reporter, I'm a journalist. People say, you know, you're a YouTuber and all this stuff. I'm not a YouTuber. You know, I create YouTube content. I'm a reporter with a YouTube channel. So I have to conduct myself in a professional manner. But most importantly, you know, I'm a parent with 3 sons and a wife. Every single thing that I do gets scrutinized. If I do anything online, it's under a microscope. Because one thing you need to understand as well, parents at my kids' school, they watch my channel. Teachers from my kids' schools watch my channel. You know, locals that live in my neighborhood, they watch my channel. They all like my content. They say, Jermaine, you know, we respect your content. We appreciate what you do. But also you need to understand the mainstream media watch my channel. The police watch my channel. Counselors, everybody is watching my channel and I'm under a microscope. So it's easy to say, you know, as just a normal working class person, you know, I am a normal person just like everybody else, but I'm held to a higher standard because I've got a YouTube channel, because I've got a platform. If I do anything out of line, it's going to get blown up out of proportion. It's going to go viral. It's going to get reported by the media. You know, just for example, the fight itself, you know, it got shared all over, you know, Twitter and YouTube, etc. One of the videos got 6 million views, and Manchester Evening News reported the story in the morning straight away on the front page of the Manchester Evening News on the website. So just imagine, like, if one of us YouTubers got involved and did start throwing punches. Manchester Evening News is a woke newspaper. The headline's probably going to be something like far-right YouTuber caught in homophobic attack. You know, that's what it's going to turn out like, and then it's going to go viral, you know, and then, you know, my wife's going to see it, my wife's colleagues at work, my son's school teachers, you know, the counsellors, the police, everybody's going to see it, and it's going to have a negative impact on my family and my children. I've got 3 sons, 3 young boys, and I'm not about to let that happen. Yes, I respect Cozzy, and, you know, he is a good guy, but I'm not going to jump in and get involved in fights because it has repercussions, not just on me, but on my family. As a parent, it's my responsibility to make the right decisions in life. Sometimes people won't be happy with it, but my decisions, they affect my family. So I have to make sure to protect my family and my children that I make the right decisions in life. And not only that as well, Manchester, 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's pitch black. On the night when this fight happened, there was about 300 migrants and gang members and drug dealers all in Piccadilly Gardens wearing balaclavas. Some of them have knives. Some of them are migrants from the hotel. You know, there's some murderers and rapists and nonsense there that we don't know that are actually in those gardens on a regular basis. And, you know, when the fight was kicking off, you don't really know who knows who's involved. And it's a massive crowd. A lot of those people in that crowd, they don't actually like YouTubers, and they would actually relish the opportunity to do something as well. You know, you could easily get stabbed. We saw a couple of months ago, somebody got stabbed in the neck in Piccadilly Gardens and killed. So you've got to be very careful. You can't just jump into a fight and get involved because anything can happen. So this is another thing as well. I know there's a lot of people online, thousands of people saying you should have jumped in and helped. You go to Piccadilly Gardens at 10 o'clock at night, your arse would fall out. You would not jump into a fight when there's people with balaclavas and knives all stood there in Piccadilly Gardens. You wouldn't do it. And I've seen people online, like, you know, criticizing me and other YouTubers, you know, calling us shitbags and stuff. You know, you go to Piccadilly Gardens at 10 o'clock at night and try and get involved in a fight, you wouldn't. So this is what I mean, like, people just are quick to criticize, but the reality is it's different for YouTubers. We can't just get involved in a fight. So really, I just wanted to address that. Just kind of, that's my thoughts in the situation. As I say, I do respect Cozzy. He's a good person, and I think what he's achieved in the last few months, it's remarkable. But at the same time, you know, my actions have repercussions, and I'm held to a higher standard. Everything that I do is under a microscope, and I'm not getting involved in fights. As I say, I'm a journalist, independent journalist. I'm a reporter with a big audience. I'm constantly being watched. And yeah, every single thing that I do, I've got to be responsible and make the right decisions, because at the end of the day, I am a father. I've got 3 sons, and they're my priority. Every single thing that I do in life, it's for my children, it's for my sons. Yes, I'm a patriot. Yes, I love Great Britain. I love my country. I love my friends, my family, my community. I'll do anything that I possibly can to protect my community. This is why I make these videos, to protect my community, to educate people on the issues like the hotels and the HMOs, to make my community safe, to make people aware of the dangers in our communities. I constantly put myself in danger, in dangerous situations on a regular basis. So I've never been a shitbag. I'm on the front lines constantly at protests, at migrant hotels, at HMOs, putting myself in dangerous situations. You know, what could compromise my safety, because I love my country and because of the reasons that I've just said. I want to make my community safe. But you know, at the end of the day, it's only about 10% of people that have actually criticised me and mentioned my name. 90% of people understand the situation. 99% of people cannot fight. They're not fighters. You know, for me personally, I can protect myself. I can defend myself. You know, I've trained a little bit of MMA. I've done jiu-jitsu. I've got sufficient skills to protect myself if somebody ever puts their hands on me. But, you know, I'm not a violent person. I prefer to use other methods of diffusing a situation as opposed to fighting. As I say, I can look after myself. I've never been a shitbag. I stand up for my friends and my family. And even in certain situations, for example, if it was a protest is a different scenario. You know, if somebody was getting attacked at a protest, I would jump in and help my fellow patriot, because it's a different scenario. At protests, the police are a lot more lenient. They understand it is a physical event, and pushing and shoving and little scraps can happen, so you can actually get away with it there. But in Manchester, in Piccadilly Gardens, it is pretty much a war zone. It's 90% migrants, illegal migrants in Piccadilly Gardens, and it is like a different country. It's like a third world country at night time. It's not the same. It's not Great Britain. It's a war zone. You can get stabbed, you can get killed, and things can turn nasty. And you know, just to wrap up this video, I do feel bad for what happened with Cozzy. You know, obviously he's all right now, and Cozzy came out on top. The other 2 people that sort of got into a fight with him, they ended up way worse off. And you know, they ended up running off out of Manchester. And you know, Cozzy just gained more respect for this as well. And you know, his YouTube channel's grown, he's got more views and stuff. But really, I just wanted to address this situation and just let people know that, yes, I do respect Cozzy, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be jumping in fights with people, because, you know, Manchester's a dangerous place. You saw how many people were there that night. There was 300 people there. Some people, you know, wearing balaclavas, drug dealers, gang members, etc. And as I say, I'm not about to jeopardize, you know, my family life for somebody else's actions. You know, it just played out the way that it did. I know other people have sort of gave their explanations and reasons why they didn't get involved, etc. Some people have not said anything, but this is just my reasons why. You know, I didn't jump in and start fighting. But yeah, I hope you can just kind of get the gist of my story and what I'm trying to say. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I wanted to basically just clear this up before I post my next video on this channel. I just wanted to make my position clear and tell people exactly what happened. And yeah, it's pretty much ramblings, but this is just unfiltered, you know, my unfiltered story of what actually happened. You know, no script, you know, no contrived motives or whatever. I'm just telling you exactly what happened, and that's as it is. You know, if you want to judge me for whatever, for not jumping in and fighting, you know, I completely understand. But at the end of the day, you know, I know my true supporters stand by me. You know that I'm a good person, and this one situation doesn't change that. It doesn't change the fact that I'm still a good person. It doesn't change the fact that people still support me. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I'll see you in the next one.